The ancient map found beneath Ur shows something no map should show, the vanishing point of the first gods. Not a mythic heaven, not a distant star, not a throne above the clouds. A marked location beneath the earth, hidden under the city's sacred layers, where the map says the old powers passed out of the visible world. That is why this discovery matters. A disappearance can be turned into legend. A lost god can become a statue, a hymn, or a story told by priests. But a vanishing point is different. It means there was a place, a threshold, a direction. And if the first gods disappeared through a threshold, then their absence may not have been permanent. It may have been controlled. Stay until the end, because the final symbol beside the vanishing point may reveal why they disappeared, and what has to happen before they come back through the same place. To understand why the map beneath Ur is so disturbing, we have to begin with what it does not show. It does not show a temple plan. It does not show a king's tomb. It does not show a treasure chamber or a forgotten road between cities. It shows a vanishing point, a place where the first gods passed out of the visible world. That idea is almost impossible to treat casually, because when ancient stories say the gods disappeared, we usually imagine something vague. They rose into the heavens, they faded into myth, they withdrew beyond the stars, they became invisible to mankind. But a vanishing point changes the story. It means the disappearance had a location, a place, a threshold, a direction. And if the map found beneath Ur truly points to that place, then the old question was never, where did the gods go? The terrifying possibility is that Ur's priests already believed they knew. That is the first open loop. Why would a city hide a map to the place where gods disappeared? Ur was not ordinary ground. It was one of the great sacred cities of the ancient world, a city of kings, moon worship, royal tombs, temples, buried foundations, and memory pressed into clay. Generation after generation built over what came before, until the city became a stack of human time. The visible Ur was only the top layer. Below it were older walls, older chambers, older offerings, older secrets. And somewhere beneath those layers, according to this story, a map was hidden, not placed in the open temple, not displayed for worshippers, not carved proudly on a public wall, hidden beneath the city. That choice matters, because a public map teaches, a buried map protects or imprisons. The map's markings point downward, not upward. That is the first unsettling detail. If the first gods disappeared into heaven, the map should look to the sky. It should mark a star, a mountain peak, a celestial road, a gate among the constellations. But it does not. It points beneath Ur, toward old foundations, toward sealed ground, toward a route connected to darkness, water, silence, and a final threshold. In ancient thought, the deep was not empty. It was not just dirt and stone. It was the hidden part of reality, the place beneath the visible order. The place where the dead, the old powers, and the foundations of creation pressed close to the human world. So if the first gods disappeared downward, the meaning changes. They did not leave Earth. They withdrew from the surface. They stepped behind a boundary. That is why the map feels so dangerous. Because what withdraws can return. What passes through a threshold may come back through the same threshold. And what is hidden beneath a city may be much closer than the heavens. Imagine the map being found in a sealed foundation chamber beneath Ur. The chamber is narrow. The air is dry. The bricks around it are stamped with the names of kings who believed their buildings would last forever. A layer of ash covers the floor. In one corner, beneath a cracked offering bowl, lies a tablet or map surface wrapped once in cloth that has long since turned to dust. At first, the markings look like ritual geometry, lines, circles, boundary signs, 7 small marks around a deeper center. But then someone notices the pattern. The lines do not describe the city above. They describe a route below it. A route that begins near the sacred district, passes under a symbol of water, crosses a marked zone of silence, and ends at a symbol that looks like a closed mouth. A gate, or a place where a gate used to open. That is the second open loop. Was Ur built near the vanishing point? Or was Ur built over it? That question changes the meaning of the entire city. If Ur was built near the place where the gods disappeared, then the city was a guardian, a sacred settlement placed close to an ancient memory. But if Ur was built over it, then its temples were not only houses of worship, they were seals. The rituals were not only devotion, they were maintenance. The foundations were not only construction, they were weight placed over a dangerous threshold. This is why the map may have been hidden beneath the city instead of preserved in a library. It may have belonged to the architecture of secrecy itself. A map under the foundation, a warning under the temple, a memory held down by brick, prayer, and time. Ancient people understood that sacred spaces could invite power, but they could also contain it. A temple was not always a doorway opened wide. Sometimes it was a controlled point of contact, a place where humans approached the divine carefully through rules, names, offerings, and silence. If the vanishing point lay beneath Ur, then the city's sacred order may have been built around one terrifying purpose. Do not let the root open carelessly again. But humans forget, priesthoods end, languages die, kings are buried, temples collapse, and warnings become objects for later hands. That is the tragedy inside the map. The people who hid it may have understood its danger. The people who found it may only see mystery. And mystery attracts exactly the kind of attention ancient warnings tried to prevent. Now picture the first gods in the old story, not as distant statues, not as harmless myths, but as beings who once stood close enough to mankind that their departure had to be mapped. Their absence left a scar, a root, a final point where the visible world ended and something else began. Maybe they disappeared after a flood, maybe after a rebellion, maybe after mankind broke a law, maybe after the old order became impossible to maintain on the surface. Whatever the cause, the map suggests their departure was controlled. They did not vanish in panic. They followed a path. They passed through the marked threshold, and then the threshold was sealed. That is the third open loop. Why did they disappear at all? Ancient stories rarely describe divine withdrawal without cause. The gods do not simply leave because they are bored. Something happens first. Human noise becomes unbearable. Sacred law is broken. Kings become corrupt. Forbidden knowledge is misused. The boundary between orders becomes unstable. Then the old powers withdraw, but withdrawal is not defeat. Withdrawal is strategy. It creates distance. It preserves power. It leaves mankind above, living in the age of kings, temples, wars, and memory, while the first gods remain behind the hidden boundary, out of sight, but not necessarily gone. And if the map beneath Ur marks where they disappeared, then it may also preserve the route by which they could return. That is why the final symbol matters so much. The vanishing point is not marked as a grave. It is not marked as destruction. It is not marked with the symbol of ending. It is marked like a closed threshold. And a threshold is never only about leaving. A threshold always has two sides. Now we have to follow the route on the map, because the route does not begin at the edge of the world. It begins under Ur. That means the ancient cartographer believed the city itself was connected to the disappearance. The first mark appears near a sacred foundation sign. This suggests the route was not meant to be found on the surface. It began below the place where temples touch the older ground. That is important. In the ancient world, foundations were more than engineering. They were contact points. Builders placed offerings, figurines, inscriptions, and protective objects beneath walls because they believed the ground had to be addressed. The unseen powers below had to be recognized before the visible structure could stand. So a route beginning at the foundations of Ur is not accidental. It means the path to the vanishing point was tied to the deepest layer of the city. The second mark on the map is water, not river water, not ordinary canals. Deep water, the kind associated with hidden sources, subterranean places, and the older powers beneath creation. Water appears again and again in these mysteries because water is the perfect boundary. It reflects the sky but hides depth. It gives life but can swallow cities. It moves between worlds. Above as rain, below as springs, across the earth as rivers. So when the route passes through a water symbol, the map may be saying the path crosses from human ground into the deep order. The gods did not simply walk away. They passed through a boundary of water, perhaps a real subterranean channel, perhaps a ritual zone, perhaps a symbolic passage into the world beneath the visible world. The third mark is silence. This is where the route becomes frightening. A silence mark beside a sacred path usually means restriction. Do not speak, do not name, do not call, do not repeat what was heard there. And if the first gods disappeared along this route, silence may have been required because names were dangerous. A name could summon attention. A name could reopen contact. A name could remind the threshold of what it once allowed. This may explain why the map was hidden without a public inscription. The route could not be explained openly because explaining it might reactivate the very memory the priests were trying to control. The fourth mark is a broken crown. That symbol may represent the end of divine kingship, or the failure of human rule, or the moment when authority passed from the first gods to mortal kings. This is one of the map's most important clues. Because if the gods disappeared at this point in sacred history, then mankind did not inherit the world after a clean transition. Mankind inherited a world after a withdrawal. The throne remained. The rituals remained. The temples remained, but the beings who had once stood behind them were gone from sight. That would explain why kings were so desperate to claim divine approval. They ruled in the absence of powers they could no longer meet directly. The fifth mark is the threshold itself, the vanishing point. It is drawn as an enclosed opening, a kind of sealed mouth, placed beneath the deepest layer of the route. Around it are warning marks that repeat the same message in different forms. Do not approach without right. Do not speak the lost names. Do not open when the signs are absent. And most disturbing of all, do not wait at the threshold when it answers. That final warning changes everything, because it suggests the threshold can respond. A dead symbol does not answer. A collapsed tunnel does not answer. A purely imaginary route does not answer. But in the logic of the map, the vanishing point is not inert. It is a boundary with memory. It remembers passage. It remembers those who crossed. And perhaps it remembers the conditions under which it may open again. Imagine the last night before the first gods vanished. The city is not yet the we know from later ruins. It is older, closer to the beginning of memory. The air is heavy. The moon hangs over the temple. Priests stand at sealed doors. No drums are played. No public festival is held. This is not a celebration. It is a departure. Below the sacred foundation, a procession moves through a hidden route. Lamps burn low. Water runs along the edges of the passage. No one speaks the names aloud. At the end, the threshold waits, not open, waiting. The first gods pass beyond it one by one, or perhaps as a single presence too powerful to describe in human terms. When the final one crosses, the map's oldest warning is fulfilled. The threshold closes. The world of men becomes the surface age, and is built, rebuilt, and rebuilt again over the place where the visible age ended. That is the story the map seems to preserve. But the map was not only about the past. This is the part that makes it dangerous. Near the vanishing point, there is a small repeated sign, a return mark. It appears beside the closed threshold, almost hidden in the damage. At first, it could be mistaken for a crack or decorative repetition. But if read as part of the route, it suggests the threshold was not sealed forever. It was sealed until the signs gathered, until the old names returned, until the foundation shook, until the silence in the temples came again, until mankind disturbed the route from above. This means the map beneath was not simply preserving where the first gods disappeared. It was preserving the condition of their absence. And if an absence has conditions, then it can end. That is the true terror of the map. The first gods did not disappear into nothing. They disappeared through a place beneath a place that may have been guarded by temple foundations, ritual silence, and the fear of generations. But every guard eventually dies. Every city eventually falls. Every hidden map eventually risks being found. And once the route is remembered, the threshold is no longer fully forgotten. That may be why the map was buried so deep. The priests did not want future kings to use it. They did not want ambitious men to follow the road. They did not want the vanishing point treated like a doorway to power. Because whoever stands at the place where the first gods disappeared is not only looking into the past, he is standing at the one place where the past may look back. By this point, the map has revealed three disturbing ideas. The first gods disappeared through a marked threshold beneath Ur. The city may have been built to cover or guard that vanishing point, and the final symbol suggests the same route may not be permanently closed. Now the question becomes unavoidable. If the map shows where the first gods disappeared, what happens when the vanishing point answers again? And now we reach the moment the map was trying to warn future hands about. The vanishing point answers. For thousands of years, the place beneath Ur was silent. Layer under layer, brick under brick, temple over foundation, city over threshold. The priests were gone. The kings were dust. The old rituals were broken. The names were damaged. But the root remained. And once the map was found, once the signs were read again, once the path beneath Ur was no longer forgotten, the vanishing point was no longer only a memory. It became a direction. That is the danger. Because the map does not describe a dead ending. It describes a sealed threshold with two sides. One side belongs to the world of men. The other belongs to the place where the first gods withdrew. And the final symbol beside the threshold changes everything. When the road is remembered, the silence listens. That is the revelation. The first gods did not vanish into nothing. They passed beyond a boundary that could still recognize the route. So when human hands recover the map, when human voices speak the old signs, when human curiosity follows the road beneath the city, the threshold does not need to open fully to become dangerous. It only needs to respond. Imagine the chamber beneath Ur. The map lies open under a trembling lamp. The route has been traced from the sacred foundation, through the mark of water, past the place of silence, beyond the broken crown, down to the closed mouth in the earth. Then the stone below the chamber shifts. Not enough to break, enough to answer. Dust falls from the ceiling. The flame bends toward the floor. A low sound moves through the foundation, like a door remembering the weight of those who once passed through it. And for one terrible moment, the people standing there understand. Ur was not built above an empty secret. It was built above the place where the first gods left the human world, and if the vanishing point can answer, then disappearance was never permanent. It was waiting. So, what does the map found beneath Ur really leave us with? A hidden route, a sacred city built over older layers, a vanishing point beneath the earth, and a terrifying possibility that the first gods did not simply rise into the heavens or fade into myth, but withdrew through a threshold buried under the world of men. Maybe this map was only symbolic. Maybe the vanishing point represents divine absence, the end of an age, or the moment when humans stopped experiencing the gods as living powers and began preserving them as ritual memory. Maybe the route beneath Ur was sacred geography, not physical geography, a way for priests to explain why the old powers were gone but still feared. But even as myth, the warning is powerful. Because a vanishing point is not like an ending. An ending closes the story. A vanishing point leaves a direction. And if there is a direction, there may be a return path. That is why the map feels dangerous. It does not ask where the gods came from. It asks where they went. And by pointing beneath Ur, it suggests their absence was controlled, local, and possibly reversible. The priests may have buried the map because they understood what later ages would forget. Some places are not hidden because no one remembers them. Some places are hidden because remembering them is the first step toward waking them. In the end, the most frightening thing about the first gods is not that they disappeared. It is that the map may still know where they are. And somewhere beneath the ancient foundations of Ur, the final warning remains. The gods did not vanish. They stepped out of sight. And if the map beneath Ur reveals where the first gods disappeared, there is another ancient account that names the gate they returned through. Watch that video next, because once you know where they vanished, the name of the gate stops sounding like mythology and starts sounding like the other side of the same door.